origin story. So I won't go back too far, but when I got out of college, I started working on video games, did art for video games, PlayStation, Xbox, all that kind of stuff. So I've always been into tech. And then as I moved on, video game wasn't really for me. It was more of a young man's game. Mm-hmm. And so I got out of that and I went into web development, programming, all that kind of stuff. And now I work for the government. So basically just stepping through different things through life, but I always had that passion for tech. So I was looking at YouTube and I was thinking to myself, the Linus Tech Tips or Jay's 2 cents. I'm like, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. And then I started doing it. And I was like, oh, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. Right. Yeah. So then I kind of cut down my niche and make sure that I was focusing on stuff that I liked, because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't continue. So tech is all I like. I like messing around with stuff. I like trying out new things. I like sharing it with people. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much how I got into it. So then I started YouTube about a year ago, a year and a couple months ago, and then I'm here.
Wow, you've blown up.
Your channel's growing fast, brother.
Wow.
Yeah, it's some of those hauls.
Yeah,
they love them. People love them for some reason.
The Temu hauls.
Yeah. The Temu hauls. People love them, and that's what I told Chris the other day was that when I do a review for a mouse or a microphone or something like that, I get 300 views.
Yep.
You know.
I want to talk about that too, in particular, because it's the audiences, and so let's definitely let's cover that here in a couple of minutes. And
well, I want to talk about Temu and how I can't get any traction with it. So I want to talk about that at some point.
I would say, all right. So how I got into this, right? I'm a nerd, right? I'm a flat out nerd. I've recruited in technology for 10 plus years. I've always supported engineering, user experience, product management, cybersecurity, stuff like that. But on the flip side, very similar to you, I didn't work for a gaming company, Carl, but I've gamed since I'm an 80s baby. So I've gamed since the original Intellivision was the first system we owned. So I've had Intellivision, Ataris, PlayStations, Xbox, like all of the gaming systems, arcade cabinets, all of those particular things. And so as I started to get older, similar, like I didn't game as much, but I still dabbled with toys. I still dabbled with tech, right? So keyboards, microphones. My degree is music industry management, and it's a degree sponsored by NAMM, so the National Association of Music Merchants. And so that's why you'll see a lot of, like, when I'm not doing the halls, you'll see microphones, you'll see audio interfaces and different things like that, because that's my schooling. That's my audio engineering background, if you will. I actually came down to Atlanta for an internship at a music label, and that's what brought me down here. But I started YouTube about 3 years ago, and I was doing it kind of part-time, and it was because I fell in love with people like Potato Jet and Peter McKinnon. And it was the lifestyle, the lifestyle aspect of, like, they would get this microphone and they would, like, let's go to Toronto and, go jump on these jet skis and put this camera up here while we're doing all this stuff. And that was kind of like during the vlog time, right? That's when Casey Neistat and all of them were doing the vlogs and things like that. And I was like, I got a pretty interesting family. Like, I got 5 kids. Like, people kind of want to see that, right? But as soon as I started YouTube, like, the vlogging died, like, immediately, right? But tech is something that I've always been interested in, and I always would have it naturally. And I was like, well, if I'm buying this stuff anyway, let's talk about it, right? And I'm always going to YouTube to figure out that last decision. So if I'm between this one and that one, let me go and see what everybody's talking about. So then I started watching, like, Your Average Consumer and Linus Tech Tips and, Jay's 2 cents and, and those type of tech folks where they were talking about gadgets, or I was making my first PC build. And so let me go watch this person, right? Linus. And so that's kind of, how I got into it. And I actually picked it up pretty quickly because I'm really good with interfaces and stuff like that from an editing standpoint. I always say, like, I'm not probably the most creative person, but I can figure technology out. I can figure out how to use an interface, and I can figure out, like, how to, do these J cuts, or I can figure out how to bring in this transition, or I can figure out how to put this, this first panel of screen up and then have something come in behind it and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to figure out a space where I can tell people honestly, like, what are my thoughts, and, like, not be somebody that's, focusing on brands and things like that, but this is a good product for you and here's why, right? Right. Not necessarily like, I love this brand, but it's more along the lines of, you may not need this one, try this one, right? So that's kind of what got me into it.
It's interesting. All those big YouTubers, I think, kind of got us all into it. One thing that they all have in common is that they make the effort of filming outside of a studio look so easy, and it's not. The amount of story, thought process behind creating a story, creating shots, keeping in mind everything that you're doing. Like I think a lot of people don't realize that in the YouTube space, it's not just you in front of a camera talking about a product. It's like those guys are actually using them in real applications, especially someone like Potato Jet and Peter McKinnon too. But like, he's out there with these super creative. It just looks like him hanging out with friends out on a mountaintop, testing out a drone, like when they first did the
hanging.
Right. And then when you start doing this, you're like, oh, there's a lot more to this than I thought, because not only are they doing that, and you have to do it with 5 different people that you're coordinating with their schedules and their time, but they're also making it look good, and that is the hard part: lighting, camera quality, just. Even scheduling the day to be out there so that the winds are good and it's sunny. It's like there's a lot of variables that go into it.
Yep.
And they have, like you said, they have huge teams, like Linus Tech Tips. Jay doesn't have a huge team, but he's got people supporting him. Yep. It's just us. You know what I'm saying? I got me. I record, I edit, I post, I do everything. Yep. And sometimes it can get overwhelming. And I have to kind of step back and say, what can I do and not get burned out, Right. So there's things,
And Marquez just talked about in a video, Marquez Brownlee, a big inspiration for myself, just talked about choosing which octopus arm to cut off, the one that you like doing the least. And we can talk more about that in a little bit, but I'll dive into my own, origin story. It's funny because I actually predate both of you on getting into like reviewing products in YouTube, and y'all both have bigger channels than mine. But that's definitely part of it, is that I started out in a space just reviewing products for big and tall people. And Carl and I were talking about this earlier. I'm 6'10", I'm 350 pounds. And it was just like, my entire life has been trying to find a way to just exist in a world that's not designed for my size. It's from pre-internet days, because I say I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 89. I had 16 days until 1990. So I'm still 80s. Right. And so, but like pre-internet days, finding shoes, finding shirts, it was impossible to find anything that fit for me. And as I got bigger, it just became more and more of a problem without the internet. And so I was like, I'm always researching, trying to find things, trying to find what works best for me. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit, where I've been in recruiting just like Christopher has for, a decade. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit where I had a chance for the first time ever. It was during a 1.5-month furlough from work. I didn't have work to worry about, sports, because I used to play football, or school. And I had the chance to sit down and just think, what do I want to do? Because damn sure in recruiting, excuse my language, I don't want to cuss too much on it, but I was like, this isn't it. This is the first time I can slow down and think about it. And at the time, even today, I consume review videos on everything. If I spend more than $20, I am just watching videos. What do people think about it? What does it look like when people have their hands on it? And I do this with my videos. I want to feel that product on the video before I buy it. That way, when I buy it, there's no questions, because I buy it once. I don't want to have to keep buying all these different products to see which one's going to be the best one. Yep. And then I started realizing, like, no one does this in the tall space, and I would love to have somebody that I could go to for that. So let me just start it up. And if you go back to the early videos on that channel, I didn't know anything about lighting, audio. It's like a shotgun mic from 30 feet away with just like a giant bright light, and it was awful. And so
you should see some of my earlier ones. I mean, it's horrendous.
Well, and I think that's a great point, because there's a lot of people that like they look at the uphill battle of learning how to get to the quality of just where we're at right now. I still feel like my quality is not good enough when I look at someone like an MKBHD or a random Frank P, who was a big inspiration for me as well. And so if anyone's watching this that's thinking about starting YouTube, you got to start. You just got to start pressing record. Think Media is the channel that that I started watching. That was the whole motto is you just got to press record. And so 3 years into this journey, and then as I got to know Christopher a little bit better, because we worked together for about a year, I've been interested in the tech and gaming space my entire life, and I was like, man, I really want to get into it, but like, where do you start? Because there's so many different areas of tech and gaming. And finally, I don't know how it happened, Christopher. We were just chatting, and it was just like, it just felt like it was time. It was time to do it. Yeah, time to start it, because I had 3 years of experience doing YouTube. I had worked on the videography side of YouTube and gotten that better, and I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this. And then this channel, it hasn't exploded yet. I'm still under 2,000 subs, but it's already just feels more successful than my other channel, which is just under 6,000 subs. And so anyways, that's how I got to the point where I am now. And I love the gaming and tech space because I'm so interested in the products. You got to be interested in what you're reviewing for sure.
I started basically by opening an old box, finding any webcam that I had, and a little stick microphone that kind of came up with like this, and just started recording. I mean, if you look at my first video, it's just me setting up OBS, trying to figure out how to do YouTube. And that's the whole idea is I was going to become a pro creator and just be pro at doing this. And I was going to, quit my job and all this kind of stuff. But it really kind of turned into something more like just something that I enjoy, something that I would do it anyway. I mess around with this stuff anyway.
Right. You said pro creator. I just immediately thought, well, there's OnlyFans. It's a different type of pro creating.
Corey gonna mess up our AdSense. No, I agree with you. The very interesting thing is because we've talked about this. Corey and I've talked about this. I definitely want to at some point be a professional content creator, right? I want to get to that point where I can say, okay, I'm stopping everything and I'm gonna put all my eggs into this as my primary source of income, right? And the thing with that is being in the tech space, as you both know, and kind of, what we talked about with the Temu hauls and things like that, once the algorithm or once the audiences put you into a niche, you can make a video on that and know that it's going to do well. Like I can do a Temu video and I know that it's going to do well. And I told Corey that I fight against that all the time because I don't want to be niched. I want to be like your average consumer where I can talk about any product. I just give me electronics, give me a microphone, give me this, give me a game, and I want to talk about it. I don't want to be in that category. So there's been times in the last 3 years that I've done this where it's like, for a moment there, I did TVs, and every TV review, I didn't even have the TV. I would just talk about it. 10,000 views, 20,000 views. And I was like, I don't want to just do TVs. That gets tiresome unless I can't afford them. I can't do them, or I can't do that review over and over again. And so I went away from that and my count went down, started suffering. So then I was like, okay, let me do keyboards. Then keyboards started shooting up. So now I can do a keyboard video and get about 2,000 views easy. But right now they have me as a Temu. I'm a Temu content creator right now. I got eyes closed with a Temu video, right?
When your Temu videos have blown up so hard that it's almost like the hole's so deep. Like I don't mean to be negative, but your Temu videos have done so well that it's like you really are branded as that almost.
And I think Carl's, going through the same thing now because he had the creative headphones, and I watched his review and I was like, man, the creative, I think there's Zen 2s or whatever, the creative headphones that he just did recently, the ones he got on his head. And I was like, dude, why isn't anybody watching this? Like but then he does a Temu video and it's like 8,000 views in 5 days. Right. And what he said earlier, I think the audiences are different. And Corey, you and I talked about this in regards to shorts, right? Because I want to do shorts. I enjoy making shorts.
Same.
So I started a second channel for it, but if I do a short, nobody watches it. And if my shorts goes well, nobody watches the long form. It'll be about the same thing. I even had I did an experiment. I launched a short on the same day as a video on the of a controller. It was the the whatever video game it was. I can't even think of it right now. But I did a short and I did the long form. The short blew up. But the controller video eventually got to like 4,000, 6,000 views, but it was like a month later. But the short, day one,
Well, and YouTube says that shorts don't hurt your account. I don't believe that. I really think I think that's why I don't do them. I put them on TikTok. I put them on Instagram. I just feel like shorts hurt our growth on real long form videos.
Yeah.
I kind of stopped doing it also. A, it just took extra time. And B, I didn't see any conversion. I didn't see people coming over from shorts to me. And if they did, they didn't care about my long-term videos, long-form videos. They didn't care about that. They just wanted to see more shorts because that's what they watched. So I just I stepped away. I haven't done a lot of TikToks or Instagram stuff either. Any reels just lately, just extra stuff to have to do.
Well, and back on, I'm sorry, Christopher, go ahead.
Go ahead, brother.
I was going to say back on the niche thing. I'm stuck in a little bit of a niche right now with handheld gaming consoles. And I was telling Christopher about this, Carl. I don't handheld game that often. I have have huge hands. And so it's like, I'm like, what do I do? Because I got the ROG Ally, and Christopher and I talked about this like before it came out. We were hyped up about it, ended up getting it. And it has set up a success for what my channel's seen and earned over the last 6 months. But now I'm like, how can I figure other things out? Because that audience is going to help me grow, and I want to cater to them because that's why they're here, and I want to take care of their interests. But then I also have other interests of the channel, and so like determining that niche. I think the big thing is buying your own products, and that's something we can also talk about at some point. Is you start getting companies that reach out to you, especially the cheap nickel and dime companies. A lot of them, manufactured out of China and stuff, and you got to be careful with accepting that because it gets real exciting at first. Oh, free product for my time, and then eventually your time. This is like 10 different subjects that I'm really talking about at once right now, because when you can companies can almost determine your niche off of a successful video, right? And I think, Christopher, you're working with another company that not Temu, but the other one who has a similar type of what was that? Shein. Right. And so like they're interested in working with you because of your Temu success. And so you almost have to like force your way out of that hole sometimes.
And I agree with you. So talking about products, right? And products that come from particular companies, right? And I guess we can kind of pivot there. Let's talk about brands and working with brands as a content creator, because all of us hope to get there, right? And to your point, when you get that first opportunity, that first time somebody emails you and say, hey, I saw your channel, I want to send you something, and it's like, good, just send it, let's do it. Send it to me, I'm gonna get that video out, because it's like validation, like somebody sees me, somebody sees the quality, and there's a part where that changes from, well, I feel validated, I've been validated, and now I'm being taken advantage of. Right. And so it's like you get that first initial push of products and they send it to you. And then you start to understand, like, after, I think we both have hit 100,000 views. Let's just say that overall, after about 100,000 views, it's like, cool. But is it more valuable for them to send me the $50 pair of headphones, or is it more valuable for them to get a video with no production costs, with no ideology costs, with no camera rental, with no et cetera, and now, that video lives on forever unless we take it down. Right. And we put the affiliate link in there, and we get 5% of the affiliate link, but they get a conversion rate of, let's say, 10%. And 100,000 people have watched it. So 10,000 people have clicked on a link, and 1,000 people from there have bought it. Right. And so now that 1,000 times 50 is $50,000 that they made on us from a product that they sent to us for free. Right. And so and that's where I struggle, because I don't struggle with it per se from a, you should pay me for it. But it's when I talk to my audience and I say I put my name behind this product. This is a good product. I've reviewed it. I've tested. I've done that. And I've built that audience over the last 3 years, and they know me to be transparent because I'm always transparent. Yeah. Now it's like, that's where the feeling of taking advantage comes from. Right. Because it's like, I put 3 years behind this 8-minute video that I just said, go out and buy this product, right? And then the brand is saying, nah, I got $100 for you. I got $100 for you, or just take the product. So it's an interesting aspect when you get to that point in your career. And Corey, like I said, with your channel, you got there really, really fast because you had the other channel first to kind of smooth out all the kinks. And so when you started the tech channel, it was just like, I know videography, I know, know how to present, I know how to keep a pace, I know how to, etc. Right. And then going back to Carl, like that in between the video. So now it's like, you can get views on Temu. So now how do you pitch those conversations when the other companies reach out? Because it's like, I know that these Temu videos, but I can't promise you that those videos are going to do well, right?
Exactly.
But at the same time, I know I'm valid because I have over 100,000 views. I have over 1 million views. I know I'm valid, and I want you to, pay me for my time and pay me for my effort. But I can't guarantee you views at this point, so.
Right. That's the hard part. Right. So, like you said, it's the first time I got something was a couple months after I started, and I was like, oh, someone's going to send me something, send it. And and it actually ended up being something that I like to use, which was good, right? Helped me be able to do a video about it, installation video, all that kind of stuff. And then after a while, I started getting invitations to review. I don't know, this is the dumbest stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. So I didn't want to burn bridges. I didn't want to be rude.
Right.
But what I found out was they're just blanket sending this stuff to everyone because they want to get a video, which is fine because that's going to help out all the small creators. There's a bunch of people out there that are small creators that they love to get those emails.
Yep.
I still like to get them because it makes me feel like I'm still a little bit relevant. But I don't answer. If I don't want to deal with them, I just don't answer because I don't have to. Just because someone sent me an email doesn't mean I have to respond. But then I get the in between stuff where it's just like, oh yeah, I know Creative. I've been using them since forever back. Let me go ahead and try out their headphones because I like their company. And that's the same with all the other sort of things that I end up doing is that I like that product or I'm interested in that product, and I think people will be. Doesn't mean it's going to translate to views, but that's a whole nother conversation, right? When I first started, I'm like, why isn't anybody watching this stuff? I'm putting it up. No one's watching it. And so I tried to study things. I try to get into things. I really try to do the numbers and try to figure things out. And I started trying to figure out, like, with YouTube, am I kind of like in this like throttled zone where they kind of won't really push me out to a lot of people because they don't know I'm in my first year. They don't know if I'm good or if I'm, a quality content creator. And then about a year goes by and all of a sudden I hit this Temu unboxing that did, I had never seen traffic like this. It went straight up, the graph did. And I'm like, oh boy, do I need to continue doing this stuff? So I just said, screw it. I'm going to continue doing it because I like doing it. I buy my own products. Sometimes they send me the products. And then, the other stuff, it'll maybe open the door for other stuff and companies that I might see that and then want to offer me something because they see other stuff on my channel. Right. But that makes me think sometimes, and sorry about continuing on here, but that makes me think sometimes it's like, do I want to go out and buy a soundbar and review a soundbar to make sure that I start getting companies that want soundbar videos? What I'm saying? Like how So it just seems like if I put too much emphasis on growing, I disappoint myself all the time. So I said, screw it. I'm just putting stuff up there. If people watch it, they watch it. If they don't, they don't.
And the worst thing about the company emails is when they catch you in a good mood. And because you're like, that sounds interesting. Go ahead and send it. And then it gets here and you're like, I told them I would do this for free. And now I know. I've had videos where I'm sitting on it and I'm like, okay, not only do I not want to review this, I don't want my audience to see it and I'm not getting paid for it. And it's just this product on your shelf that drags you down. I probably got one of those sitting around right now that I need to get to. And, but yeah, like I said earlier, the companies can really dictate what products that you're reviewing, and the purchase of a product to, I'm about to go start doing that right now. One of the things on my channel that I want to do is start purchasing products now that I've made a little bit of money to start bringing in a different side of things that I've not ever seen before. And for me, being freaky tech reviews, I want to start reviewing outlier products that are not mainstream, that people are like, what the heck is that? I want to start doing stuff like that. So now I'm hunting for that type of stuff. And I'm hoping that this is where it gets interesting, because if you, like you said, Carl, if you get a soundbar, you're going to have soundbar companies reach out to you. But if I pick up a random piece of tech that has no competition, will I start getting that type of companies, those type of companies reaching out to me with unique tech products? I don't know. And so I'm about to start testing this theory to see how well does that actually work? I don't know. So
I mean, I've done a bunch of different products, and it doesn't seem to translate into very specific people sending me stuff. I mean, every once in a while I get something that's the same. But the hard part too is that you get an email. I got an email, Chris, you did a review of a mini PC. Who was that?
Ace Magic.
What was that company?
Acer Magic.
Yeah. So they reached out to me, and I said yes, because I had a project that I wanted to do with a mini PC. I thought it was going to be a really cool project. And then she wrote back and said, hey, this, what do you want to do to move forward? And I'm like, that's not even me. You're responding to someone else, but send it to me. You know what I'm saying? And so I wrote back and I said, I'm not that person, but I'm definitely still interested. And then I never heard back from them. And they ghosted me. Yeah. So I was just like, finally a product I wanted, and now I can't get them to email me back.
I have an example of that, and it's a company that he has a good relationship with. So I'm not going to say the name.
I do. Yeah, I work with him a lot.
So they reached out to me, and we were talking through like an opportunity to work with each other, and I knew that he had worked with them, and this is not related at all as far as like his relationship and my relationship. Like he wasn't the person, but they accidentally sent me an entire like email chat, like an entire email chat between them and some other creator, right? And I'm larger than the other creator, right?
A lot larger. So you were like more than double.
Almost triple, because he was, and the amount that he was asking for, they were like, let me.
He was asking for money.
He was asking for a lot. Like it was like, let me go talk to the team. Let me go talk to the team. And they were like, let me go talk to the team and blah blah blah. And I get it. Like they had worked with him maybe a couple times beforehand, right? Because you could see it on his channel, etc. But still, like the amount I was asking for was maybe a quarter of that. And they were like, she was giving me the runaround. So my biggest thing is, me and Corey started having a conversation about this. And to your point earlier, Carl, is they will send out a blanket list to creators, right? Yeah. And from that, those creators will respond. Of the creators that will respond, they will then determine how much of their budget they're going to spend on each creator. And so if you have, for instance, if they put us into tiers and they say, okay, tier A, I got 4 tier A creators that are responding. They got a channel of 50,000 or more, and tier B is 50,000 to 20,000, and then 10,000 or less, right? B and C. The budget goes to the ones at the top that they expect the outcomes from, right? We talked about that earlier, that conversion rate. And then somewhere in the middle, I got $200 for you. I got $300 for you. We'll spend it and see what happens. But that bottom tier is just like it's exposure. Like they're probably not going to get numbers for us. They're probably not going to convert product sales for us. So let's just send them the product and have them make the video. And so I always ask, like, hey, what's your goal in this for me? Like, I know, I get it. Like I've worked for corporate retail for over 6 years. Like I get it. But what is your goal for me? Is it exposure? Is it conversions? Or, what is your goal for me? And whenever they avoid answering that question, I know at that particular moment, I'm column C, right? Because if they really value that partnership, they would give me all the details. Hey, Christopher, I enjoy your channel because, and I'll say it, you're a black creator and you have dreads and you can speak to a diverse, crowd, blah, blah, blah. We want to get into that, right? We want to meet talking to that market, right, et cetera, et cetera. But if they just say, hey, your videos are good, it's like, okay, cool, it's exposure. But my biggest thing is I'm okay with you saying that. Just say it's an exposure. I'll say yes or no, and we'll move on from there, right? And so that's kind of where I'm at with my channel. Is like, I want to do products that I believe in and work with brands that I want to believe in. And will I do something for free? Yeah, Small Rig reached out to me. I've paid for 30 of their products. Hell yeah, send it to me for free. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've already spent $3,000 on your stuff. Like, send it to me. You know what I mean? Like, but other companies, it's like, no, I'm just cannon fodder for you. But
I think you're bringing up an interesting topic that I think a lot of smaller creators suffer from, especially those that have a pop of success, is self-value and self-worth, because you're like you start out being so happy, like Carl said. I had the exact same experience when someone finally wanted to send me a product. I remember the exact product on the Tall channel where someone was like, they're gonna send me something to make a video on. Right. And then you don't realize it until after a while that like the amount of work that goes into this. And like we talked about recently, Christopher, where we are an all-inclusive marketing strategy for companies. And if they don't pay for it, they're getting a heck of a deal, because even if we do have affiliate, their affiliate accounts or our affiliate accounts are based on our success, and they lose nothing. Because one company tried to say, well, our product is worth $250 to $500 and you don't have a ton of subscribers. And I'm like, well, what about your manufactured costs? Because I know you don't value it at your sales price, right? So let's talk real numbers here and talk about how much I normally charge for my time. Because when I talk about my time, it's not my time in front of the camera. It's not my time filming. It's, setting everything up, scripting it out, researching your product and competing brands so I can talk knowledgeably about it, filming, editing, all of these different things that go into it. And so if they hired an ad agency to do this, how much would they spend? Or if they hired someone in-house to do all this marketing for them, how much is a salary plus benefits and employment costs? And they're screaming at paying me $100 to $200 for this. Like, no. Like, so I say that because I have less than 2,000 subscribers, and my self-worth, I still don't feel super confident in it, but it's getting better.
Yeah.
And I think people who get real successful real quick, like you, Carl, I can see that. Like all of a sudden, how many subs are you at right now? You're close to 7,000?
No, it's
80, yeah, 8,600.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think when we first started talking, I think you've already grown that much more. But like, you've done that in a year, and that's if you look at how many people start YouTube and want to find success, that's fast compared to most people. Most people takes 4 years to even monetize at 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours, watch hours. And so like you could potentially be someone, if you didn't understand self-worth and value of your channel's marketing opportunity, that would struggle from that. Do you have any thoughts on that? Just curious.
I absolutely do, because I do not have any self-value line at this point in time, because I don't know the business. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I've never been paid to do a review. I've never asked for money. I just say, send me the product, I'll get it done. Because of that, the product to me is like, I think super cool, right?
Right.
Not that I don't want to get paid, and not that I don't need the money. Now that I'm monetized and I'm getting some money rolling in from that, I have a separate bank account that I use just for that, so that I can roll it back into the whole YouTube channel thing. I just don't go spend it willy-nilly, except for the fact that I spent a ton of money buying stuff before I got monetized, right? So it's kind of a trade-off. So now I'm kind of, I'd say, maybe a little above broke even, as far as how much, on money wise, as far as stuff that I paid for. I bought cameras, I bought all the rig, I bought all this kind of stuff, laptops, tablets, this and that, stuff that I like, but I had to buy all that stuff to get started. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about that is you'll get to a certain point that I'm at, I think Christopher's probably at as well, where your AdSense revenue is just kind of this background thing where, okay, cool, that got put into the account. What am I making from these brands and companies? Because I had one brand, and I won't name them because I don't know if they're okay with it, but they paid me to do basically create a tutorial video of how to use their product that they own the license to. And once you get into licensing fees and like some of the more advanced stuff, it's like, I made a substantial, drop of money that's going to be able to afford me a product that costs a couple $1,000s because they want my face on their, product saying this is how you use it. And there's so much power in saying, hey, this channel is my reputation to my viewers and anyone who might become a viewer. And if you want your product on my channel, like, you got to pay for my time. And that's what it really boils down to is you start looking away from opportunity and looking at your time as, okay, I'm starting to, like, I've got products stacked up right now, even on, as we talk right now, where I'm like prioritizing based on, what companies are willing to pay for my time. And it's not about, this is where it gets weird. Because if you have companies that you've worked for free before, and then you're like, hey, I need to make something. How do you have that conversation? And like for over the holidays, Christopher and I both had the conversation with our brands that, hey, I'm prioritizing companies who are paying for my time right now. You're not paying for positive remarks. You're not paying for any good marketing because they just want to be on your channel. They don't, even if you trash them, that means people are going to be paying attention to what you're saying about their product, and they're going to do their own research. And then, they're going to click, and then there's a chance that they're going to buy. There's just this downstream effect that happens even on bashing videos where it's like, you know what, just the fact that you're on my channel alone, you should be paying for this time. And so that's what I always tell my viewers. Hey, they sent me this product, but it in no way, shape, or form formulates my opinion on it. Some companies do ask to see the video beforehand, and I say, I'll show it to you, but I'm not changing anything of it. If you want to make sure that I got something right, which is totally fair, if it's made of a certain type of material or, manufactured from a certain area, like I want to make sure the bullet points are right about the product, but I will not change it. And I will not accept the product until they send it to me. And, it's made me feel good about my integrity as a product reviewer, and knowing that even if I've had people who think that I get paid to say nice things about stuff because I'm not overly critical anyways. I'm just not a super negative person. And I still get people who are like, oh, they sponsor this, you're going to say nice things about it. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, seriously. I'll tell the company, hey, this thing has an issue. like, if you want this video to go live with me, completely crapping on this one issue this product has, let me know, or explain it, and I'll at least edit my video to say, hey, I talked to them. This is what they were actually thinking. Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah, that self-worth thing is hard for a lot of people. It's a hard uphill battle. It really is.
And I want to get into that UGC that you talked about, user-generated content, where you make it and then they put it on their socials and it doesn't show up on yours at all. I want to get into that, and I'm talking to a couple brands about potentially doing that currently. And and so you made a valid point there where you say you work with a company for a while, and then you have to have the conversation, hey, I've been doing this for free for a while now. Now I need you to pay me, right? And so I want to say, just spitballing it, 4 companies right now that I'm having conversations with that I've worked with for over a year, right? And Carl did a review on one company recently. There was 3 items in it, and he knows which one I'm talking about. So they sent me my first product, right? And I've enjoyed working with them. But I also said, hey, every single product that you have sent to me is less than $75. There may be one that's $85, right? And there's not a video that I've done for you that is less than 5,000 views. And there's also not a video that I've done for you that has not turned into conversions. There's also not a video that I've done for you that isn't on your website or isn't, that you've taken snippets from and put on blah, blah, blah. So clearly there's value there in my content. And I'm not telling you to go back over the last 18 months that we've worked with each other and pay me for everything. But what I'm saying is going forward, I want a fair market value of the work that I'm committing for you. Because as the channel continues to get larger, of course, I'm still going to do things because I believe in sharing value products. I don't think everything needs to be a $400 microphone, right? There's a market for folks that need, this $75 microphone, et cetera, because it's good quality and some people need it. They can't afford anything else, and this is a good one, so let me share it with them, right? So I'm still going to cover that stuff, but you can't continue to ask me to prioritize your brand and you're not giving me an equitable return on my partnership with you. Yeah. Right? Because you're not paying me to say anything good. I think the product is good. That's why I shared it. Right. But at the same time, you can't continue to ask me to just keep doing videos for you because you're going to get a good return on investment beyond, the cost of your product, not the retail value, but the cost of your product. Right.
So quick question, if you're comfortable. Let's just say, I'm sure there's people who are watching this right now who are just starting out on YouTube and they don't know what to do. And I'm the same way. Like I said, I never asked for money for any of my reviews. That's my fault because I haven't gone down that route yet. What would you say is a good range of dollars to ask for in a video? And I know that's a loaded, wide open question, but just, 5,000, 100, 200, 3,000, what is the number range there?
Yep. Well, that's the age old question of when, what size is my channel to be like? That's one thing I had to learn pretty quick. The size of your channel does not equate to dollar, financial amount. I've made more money on my tech channel that is just now hitting 1,800 subscribers than I ever did in 3 years on my tall channel, which is almost a 6K subs, because now I know how to have the conversations. Yep. I'll start off first by saying, don't ever throw a number out there. Say, what is your budget for this? What do you have in mind for this? And like Christopher said earlier, what is your scope of this campaign? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is for them. It is a marketing campaign. Every company has a marketing budget. And they are hoping that you will not ask them what their budget is. Yeah. And that's where a lot of people, I think, fall short is they just straight up don't ask. And if you don't ask, no company is ever going to say, hey, you forgot to ask about how much money you want for this. If you don't ask they'll also, if you don't clarify that, hey, you cannot reuse this footage for your own marketing, they'll take that too. Right. And so when it comes to saying what is a good dollar amount, Christopher and I also had this conversation a year ago where it's rate sheet. A lot of companies say, hey, send us your rate sheet. And it was it's I want to customize it. I want to make as much money as I can. But then you start getting hit by so many companies left and right. You're like, God dang, I know I'm probably losing out on money by having a rate sheet. But at some point, you got to let your marketing material do the work for you. And so what I've done is I said, hey, what's your budget for this? And if they don't give me an option, then I say, okay, well, here's my rate sheet if you want to be featured on my channel. And I'll just go ahead and talk about numbers. As of right now, for me to review a company's product, and this is not across the board, because if I'm really interested in the product or if I want to go that direction with my channel, there's negotiation room. But I tell companies that if you want to get in the queue, $400 to review your product. If you want to sponsor, what's the thumbs up?
That's nice.
Did one of y'all do that?
It's a emoticon.
No, it's like, it's an automatic thing. I think if you use the thumbs up.
It's a Zoom gesture.
Yeah, Zoom gesture. Yeah. Anyway.
It totally threw me. Dude, I had such a good thought.
What was that? I need that on the next video.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Yep.
But that's what I tell a company. Hey, if you want time on my channel because of the amount of work that I put in it, and if you want me to put my reputation on the line for providing coverage on your product, this is what it costs. If you want to sponsor a video or do an integration, that's $200. Where it's like, here's a 30, and it really, like, integrations, I prefer the ones that are seamlessly put into the video where that product, that ad has to do with that product. Like, it's not just a harsh, jarring, here's 30 seconds about something you do not care about. So I do like $200 for like an integration. I'll do, like, for instance, like $800 for if you want me to create a specialized video for you. If I like your product, I will create a video saying, hey, you got to check this thing out. And then they own that video. They put it on their website. They put ad dollars behind it. Or if they want to me to review a product, they pay for the product review. And then I'm like, okay, $750 if you want reusage or licensing rights, meaning that you can then take my video, chop it up, put it wherever you want it. And so, like, those numbers are not for everybody. I'm comfortable talking about them because I've made them work for me. But at the end of the day, if you have a list of products in your studio that you need to get to, it's like, why not just say, hey, this is what's going to cost to be a part of this channel. And if you want to be a part of my audience, and I think any product YouTuber should say my audience, like, I literally call it the Freaky Tech fam. When I asked, right, I like that, Cozy Coalition. So when I ask people to subscribe, I'm like, hey, join the Freaky Tech family, and I take that seriously because I'm going to protect what they see on my channel. I'm not going to bring them crap, or if it is crap, I'll tell them. So I think, you don't owe anything to that brand. You owe everything to your audience. And when you approach those messages like that, it makes those business conversations so much easier because you're just protecting your audience, if that makes sense. And
you also have to be willing to have them say no, and you say no, and be on your way. Because there's a lot of opportunities.
Agree.
100%. You got to be willing to lose the product. And that's where it's like, I'll do it for free if I want it bad enough. Absolutely. If it's that product that's going to sit there because I just haven't gotten to it yet, you're going to have to pay for it. That's the way I look at it.
I've thought about this a lot recently because where my channel is at the moment, it's almost where the business aspect of it starts to get in the way of the channel, right? Because for whatever reason, when you hit 10,000, and you're right around the corner there, Carl, like, businesses, they want to work with you more, but they want to pay you less, right? Because the pitch is that, hey, you now have a platform or a small budding platform, and now we want to send you your product. We want to send, we're ready to work with you now. You hit that minimum, buy-in. If you had the poker table, you hit the buy-in, right? So we're ready to work with you. And so I say this to new creators is that, depending on what your channel means to you, if it's a pastime or a passion, I think it's all good to take products for free. Right. I think if this is just something that, hey, this is a passion and this is a pastime, like, I don't need the income or different things like that, it's okay to take those products for free. But what I will say is you still should ask the question every single time so that when it becomes more than a passion for you, it's an easy change, right? So if I say early on, like, I don't really need any money. Hell, you want to send this to me? Cool. What's your budget for it? And if they give you an answer, then cool, you made some money from it. But if not, then it's like, okay, I still want it if you want it, right? And then that way, at least you get used to asking the amount or asking for the budget or asking for some type of, dollar back. So that way, when you get larger to the point where it's like, nah, I can't just give you my time now because I got 20 other companies in my inbox. So I can't just keep taking these products for free and keep lining it up and then, 3 a.m. mornings trying to get these videos out because I've accepted all these different products, right? And that's why where Corey's talking about the time becomes so important because every day I'll probably get 10 to 15 emails and people saying like, hey, we want to work with you, And some of the products are good and some of them are not. But if I say yes to everything because it's free, I'm letting everybody else down because I don't have that much time. I can't give my audience what they need as far as thoroughness in the video and the review and did I actually use this product long enough to give an educated opinion on this product, which is the most important part to me. Like, I need to give them enough information so that they can make an educated decision. But if I'm just rapid fire getting these things out the door because I'm accepting these products, that's one thing. But where I am at now from a financial standpoint, I have business goals, but I also have creator goals. So I want to work with certain brands. There are certain brands that I really want to work with. And if I get the opportunity to work with them, they don't have to send me any money because I want that product and I want to work with them. I want to work with Samsung. I want to work with LG, right? I'm working with, certain brands, but if it's just a brand that just reaches out to me and I'm cannon fodder, what's your budget? You know what I mean? And what time of year is it? Is it Black Friday to Christmas? Nah.
Yeah, that's the hot thing. Yeah.
Okay. I can't do free around Easter. Like, I can't do free around, getting ready to, kids are getting out of school or kids going to school and it's back to school sales and things like that. I can't just give you all that free marketing because I know what that means for you as a company and the company that Corey and I worked for. Man, in my department, we would pay $8 to $10,000 for a 3-minute video just to put up on our intranet. Dude, not even outside. Nuts. Just internally, somebody would come, they would walk our halls, they would get maybe a couple minutes of video, of us speaking, and we would, put on our shirt, our logo shirt, and walk down the hall and have a couple conversations. It might be an hour time, and we pay those people $8 to $15,000, right? And nobody outside of our company would see the video. It'll be on our intranet. Like when you come in and start and you'll see the video, right? And that's $15,000. And so I know from a corporate retail environment that we've also paid people $25,000 to put a post up on Instagram of one of our products that sits on our shelf. And they get the product and they get the $25,000, right? Yep. And it's a 60-second video.
So can you drop a number?
For me,
for how much
prices for me, I'll say this: it's a good habit to have a get me out of bed number, and what I mean by that is if they meet this number, I'll do it, right? So for me, it's $500. I don't feel right doing anything less than $500, right? Because if I say that I have these 8 products lined up, and you want to send me another product and you want me to do it free, I don't feel good doing it under $500. And I'm saying integration. Like, I don't feel good for doing it under $500 because of what I was saying earlier about prioritizing and things like that. Because what creators have to understand is that the marketing person that reaches out to you is a salesperson. They're not a relationship person. They become a relationship when you work with them multiple times. Like that first time, you're just a number to them. You are just like, hey, you have quality that is good enough to represent our brand. We really don't care about you, but you have great enough quality to represent our brand. But then when you work with that person 5 or 6 times, then it becomes a relationship, sometimes even 2. Like I got a product I'm working on now. It's just the second time, but I love to see her email. When her email comes in, she's looked at my channel. She's went through other videos. She's talked to me about my media camp. She's talked to me about my thought process of how I execute videos, what I think about videos, etc. That's already a relationship. But there's another company that I've worked with for over a year, and I am still just a number. I'm still just a, hey, do you got time for this video? Hey, we're going to send you this product. Are you good? Like literally. And it's like,
I've had companies just send stuff that I didn't even want to review. They just send it to me, and I'm like, now I feel, it just shows up on my front doorstep, and I'm like, am I supposed to do something with this?
And you don't have to.
Right. You don't have to at all. One, that's part of that self-worth factor. Because like one thing I would recommend, I don't know that you necessarily have this issue, Carl, but I would say that let hindsight be about your video quality and how you want to make your videos better, not about past business dealings. Because on my Tall channel, I have one that still haunts me, and it's how I learned about my self-worth. It was this subscription clothing company where it was for Big and Tall clothing. Every month they would send out a box for me to review, and I got the clothing for free. And I was like, this is great. I haven't been able to find clothing my whole life, and now I have it coming to my door every month. And then about the 14th box over the course of a year, I was like, wait a minute, like I'm doing a lot of work for these, man. And it's gotten to the point where I'm not even excited about what's coming in the box. I'm like, dang, that box is on the porch again. And so like I learned the hard way, and it sucked for a long time where I was like, I didn't even here's the thing. I had a discount code, but I didn't have an affiliate account. I made $0 out of that entire deal. And that's why I'm so rigid now, because I will not be taken advantage of again. Because like the products weren't good enough for me to continue providing free marketing for them. And now they don't even talk to me. It's like they kind of ghosted me once I lost interest. And I'm like, that's the thing about these companies, man. They like, it's not personal for them. It's business, and they'll treat it that way. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's super important that you guys are comfortable sharing some numbers. I mean, Chris, I've seen your YouTube video the other day about what you made in AdSense, right? Do you know how many like small creators look at that and go, oh, thank God someone's finally telling me, okay, he's got 10,000 subscribers. Here's how much he's making. Here's where he's going. If you can just hear those encouraging words, like it's possible, because you don't know if you go ahead and spend all your time doing this and there's no end game or nothing that you've heard, it's really difficult.
Well, and I do want to, sorry, go ahead, Carl.
I was just going to say one other thing. And, you know, like I said, I haven't charged for video, not because I don't want to, I just haven't done it yet. But if I think back to myself, okay, let me formulate a number. So I used to do website programming and design for contracting work, right? And I used to, let's just say I used to charge make $80 an hour, right? How long does it take me to do a video? It takes me this many hours to do a video. All right, let me throw 80 into that amount, and then that should be because I need to start charging for my time. It's not, you know, the product is there and the product is great, but that getting that time, I think is super important, and having that self-worth, I think, is important, which is why I'm happy to have this conversation with you guys, because opening up and having this conversation is super important to like just open your mind to new things. I mean, especially for anyone who's watching this video.
Well, and a lot of people are attracted to YouTube. A lot of people that are quitting right now, YouTube, are slowing down. Like this one guy, DSLR video shooter, Caleb Martin, I love him. Peter McKinnon, they start YouTube because they are creatives. And then when the business, like Christopher said, when the business starts becoming the main focus of the channel, it starts to not become fun, because then you lost the spirit of why you're doing it. And, but I would like to talk about one thing that kind of flips the script. Like, it's easy to say, hey, we got to make this money. You're not putting this on my channel unless you pay me this much. But like, how do we as creators make sure that it's worth it for these companies? That's one thing that I want to be very, very clear about.
That's a great segue. And to wrap up the last couple 15, 20 minutes to a new creator, if they watch this, don't be anti-brand, right? Like, there are great brands that you can work with. And if you get the opportunity to get a product, again, it's based on what you personally want out of your channel. If you are looking at this as a pastime or a passion or something you want to do down the road, and you kind of just getting your feet wet, it's 100% okay to take the products, for sure. Just be honest with yourself and your audience why you're taking the product and what that product is, right? Don't feel the pressure to give it a positive review because you've gotten it for free. That's not the important part. The important part is just being true to yourself and why you did it, right? And then switching over to that point, and I think that's a great thing, and it's a good segue, because the value, what is the value that we're adding to a brand as a content creator, right? Because I think that's when the business starts being so heavy and you start feeling taken advantage of, you forget that it is a business. And on the flip side, you can't take it personal. You do have to offer quality to the brand in order for them to value you as an asset. And I think Corey, you've done a great job of this recently with some of the things that we've chatted through, where you are making UGC for some of those companies, right? You are doing integrations that are naturally fitting with the videos that you're doing, and you are offering them. Like, I'll do a TikTok for you as well. I'll do a reel for you. I'll do a short, right, or whatever the case may be. And you're creating this, as Creator Wizard, Justin from Creator Wizard says, you're creating a buffet for them. You're creating value for them every time they work with you, and that's what makes them want to work with you over the other numbers the next time, right? And so, and I, Carl's information earlier, everybody being a number, that's where you have to get to be a value partner is, hey, the last time I worked with you, I did do the video for you, but I also sent the video to you and allowed you to use it on your website. I also did a short for you with different content, and I also did this for you. So I gave you 4 pieces of high-end content that you were able to use, for your campaign, while my competitors, the other people that you're working with, only gave you the one video, right? And so with that being said, that's how you turn value into profit, right? And that's how you turn who you are into a fee, right, for a brand. But it's just hard to get there from that first initial reach out. And so, Corey, I'd love for you to talk through like some of those conversations that you've had recently where you've done that, where you've offered this bundle package that you can do for them, and kind of how those conversations have gone for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think like one of the biggest things that I've tried to focus on, and one of the things I want to be very clear about the numbers that I just talked about and what I charge companies, every single dollar goes back into the channel, and the viewer doesn't always see it on the channel. Oh, no. Everything I spend, everything I spend money on is to make me look better, the background look better, my products look better. And I think that not enough creators focus on the science of videos, which I'll talk about in a second, and then the quality of your imagery, right? Like it doesn't have to be 4K if you know how to use your lighting, if you know how to use different side effects. Because like one thing I focused on with this channel is I have my channel colors of kind of this pinkish and bluish colors always reflecting on the sides of my product. So when you see it and you see that like imagery of that product, it reminds you of my channel because that's my channel colors. And I do that with every single product, no matter what I'm doing with that. I always have some type of pink and blue in the background as my brand and my marketing. But what I put into this is I joined this course several years ago because I had a good friend of mine is a professional videographer. He's over in Hawaii. He started his own company, and he approaches video creation from the complete just creativity side, right? Not business minded. And so his growth as a business professional has been tremendous, and we've worked very closely to learn from each other in this regard. But he said, I got to join this course called Full-Time Filmmaker that teaches you how to be a videographer. And that, like, learning how to use a camera and lighting and audio, all those different things to enhance the viewer's experience has helped so much, because it's all about retention. How do you keep people watching? How do you get their attention, and how do you keep it? Right. How do you get their attention, and how do you keep it? And the reason I'm diving into this is because this in turn determines if companies will will want to put their products on your channel. Because like for me, like subscriber count is not the end all be all anymore. It's all about what your conversion is on your videos and how long people watch your videos. Because I have some videos that are doing very well, and I still have a small sub count because that's not the focus anymore. And the way that I keep people watching, a lot of it is actually learned through someone like Mr. Beast. He has so much content about how do you create a video that keeps people watching from start to finish. And the thing about it is you have to, like, what they see, you need to answer that immediately as soon as they click the video. So if I'm reviewing this Logitech MX Master 3, right? I don't need to spend the first 10 minutes of this video talking about the history of why I need a new mouse and the mice that I've used before and unboxing this damn thing. It's like, if you look at any of my videos right now, I am talking about and showing the product within 10 to 15 seconds because the viewer needs to, like, they clicked on that video to see that product. They need to see that product and affirm why they clicked that video in the first place. And then that keeps them there. And then how do you keep them watching from there? And part of it is, go ahead, Carl.
Oh, I was going to say, I just wanted to transition off of that. That's something I've been struggling with, because I've seen creators who do that poorly, meaning they want to jump right in the product. So the video comes on and they're like, boom, boom, bang, bang, bang. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what's going on. So I have not found, at least for my videos, a lot of difference between starting straight into the product or kind of starting into, me talking to them. And everyone says intros are dead, right? But at the same time, I want them to know who I am. I want them to have a little bit of my personality before I get into it. And people have said, I like that. And no one said, I don't like that. I don't know which way is the best, because not one video does better because I've done something. It's just so nominal right now of the difference between the videos. I can jump right into it. and people still, my retention graph still goes like this. You know what I'm saying? Or I can spend the time talking, retention graph still goes like that. And it keeps going. It's just a matter of if they clicked on it because they're interested in watching it. So I think there's a fine line for creators, to be honest with you, of jumping in it too quick and being so animated, like trying to copy Mr. Who's the Boss or, you know, some of these other creators. When you first start going and when you first start up, you want to copy those people like Peter McKinnon. Right. I wanted to do what he did, and I tried it, and I'm like, that's not me. That's not my personality. Yeah. And so I dialed it back and said, you know what? I'm just going to have casual conversation about this product. Yeah. And if people don't want to watch it, they don't want to watch it. A lot of people will watch because they like you as a person.
100%. I think that, like, Christopher and I have completely opposite styles. And I know I need to get back to your original question, Christopher, but like Christopher's atmosphere is a laid back, comfortable, chill environment. Throw it on, sit on the couch, watch it. Whereas mine is just rapid fire. Like, I'm just like boom, boom, hitting you at every point that I can as fast as I can, because that's my personality. And I think that you're touching on a really good point, Carl, because like you can, there's a lot of people that mimic the greats, and there's people that find success doing that, but then they get burned out because they're not being themselves and they become a different person trying to follow the path of the successful people. So I think there's the science in their videos and why they work, but finding your own way to do it. And so like for me, agreed. Like Mr. Beast, I even have something from Logan Paul's editor that I watched an interview with him where he says, if you have a script, because I write scripts out for all my videos, so I can just like get through the information and remember it accurately. If you say the same, I forget exactly what he calls it, but basically he says that if you say the same thing in 3 different sentences, cut out that middle sentence and like save the viewer time. And that's one thing that I focus on, is saving time. So what I could be doing is not building a culture. I could not be building like a true fan base and just a batch of viewers, because I move so fast. I don't know. I'm still a small sample size, and I don't know that like my style is necessarily going to work for the long run. It's just the way that I prefer to make videos. Whereas someone like Christopher and someone like yourself, who the audience has a chance to get to know them, I think, and again, this goes back to the self-worth thing. I don't feel like my audience cares about who I am right now because I'm such a small creator. They care about the product. And I think that'll change over time. So I do think keeping that essence of who you are as a creator is important, and you got to find out your own way to do it. So I think it's a good point, Carl. I really do.
Chris, do you script?
So I go back and forth with this, and we talk about this pretty often. I script in real time. And what I mean by that is I don't write it out ahead of time. I will. No, I don't either. So I'll sit down, for instance, if I'm doing a microphone review, that's a bad example. If I'm doing a video game review, I'm going to review this gaming handheld. I take about 2 weeks to play with it. I want to learn. I want to really understand it, and I want to really learn it. And then I sit down and I'll go record. Me and Corey talked about this. I'll record B-roll. I'll just zoom in on it, zoom out. I'll play it for a while, get some B-roll of me playing it, and then I'll sit down and I'll think to myself, well, what are my thoughts on this actual handheld? Like if I had a conversation with somebody, what would I tell them on this handheld? And so I'll sit there and I'll write it. I'll write out the intro, just so, like Corey said, so I can have my points. So I want to make sure I say this, and I want to say it succinctly, because I'm a talker. You probably can tell this from this podcast. I can talk my butt off. So let me write out about 5 sentences what this intro is, and then I'll say it. And then I'll add in the B-roll. I'll do some some voiceover, and then I'll put the camera up again, and I'll write out the next thing that I want to make sure that I cover in this video. I'll write it out, and then I'll say it. It won't be exactly what I wrote out, but the points that I put on the paper will be there. And I'll do that throughout the video. And then sometimes if I do like a microphone review and I'm just like, here's what the microphone sounds like, I don't do a script on that at all, because the biggest thing is you hearing the microphone and making sure the microphone sounds good for you. So for that particular video, I'll open it up and just say, hey, I'm covering this Shure SM7DB. It just got released. I'll share my information or knowledge that I know about this particular brand. And then from there, I'll just go right into it. Let's do a plosives test. Right, and blah, blah, blah. So I don't script out those particular types of videos. But if it's a video that I know I can ramble on, I'll in real time write out the paragraphs as I do it, because I don't want to just go off on a tangent, because I'll do that. I will definitely just be way down over there somewhere and lose the story.
And with my style, when I write things, I'm able to be more descriptive and less repetitive than when I'm talking, because when I talk, I used to do nothing but just talk about the product, go with it. And I found my videos meandering, and I found them repeating things and not hitting certain points that I wanted to hit. And so I started introducing bullet points, and it helped, but I still felt like, man, I'm just not getting to the point quick enough. And now it's like, I almost read line for line for the most part, but I'll say each line maybe 4 or 5 times until it has the right feel. So it's exhausting recording a talking head,
right.
And the thing is, like, when people say, oh, you scripted this out, it doesn't mean it's not my thoughts. It's like, it's what I thought when I sat down and took the time to write this. In a way, it really hurts my efficiency, because I'm having to write it and then go record it instead of just spitting it out on camera. I just can't do that. It's not my style, and go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I wing everything. I don't write anything down, but I just get on and start talking, because I started out by writing full scripts, and then, I had the top down view only for a while before I put my face in the camera. And I would read this out, and I was like, man, this seems so, for me, the way I speak, it just became robotic, right? So I found that if I just said, you know what, I'm a tech guy inviting you over to my desk, you're sitting here with me, and we're having a conversation about this product, it helps me talk about it. I have bullet points about, features and things I want to talk about, or what's on the box and stuff like that. But if I don't have the time personally to script everything out, and then when I do, it's a worse video. I've only gotten better results from just being sort of winging it.
Right. Well, I think, like, all of this that we're talking about right now, this is all research that we do outside of the product. What makes us a better YouTuber? What makes us more efficient? And to go way back to your question 10 minutes ago, Christopher, like, what am I working on with companies right now? Like, that's the stuff that makes me realize, like, the amount of work that goes into a video to make sure that this represents your product in a way that my viewers will appreciate and want to keep watching. That's how I set my value. But what I started doing, in addition to my own, and this is kind of a segue back to what we were talking about, but when I started focusing on my lighting, how to portray products well, how to make sure that they look good on camera, that is in essence your portfolio as a professional videographer, because really that's kind of what you start to become if you're reviewing products. Is you want the ability to say, hey, company, look how good these products. I've literally done that. I've literally sent a video from a company who's either a competitor or has nothing to do with their space and say, hey, look how great this video looks on, look how their product looks. Imagine if yours looked that great on my channel, because you can send it to me and I can do this. And then now imagine if you used this for your marketing. And the best way to do this is smaller startup tech companies that don't have giant marketing budgets and things like that. Like, I just worked with one company that they are kind of newer to the space. It's a product that I absolutely love. So I reviewed the first video, the first 2 videos I did for free, because I just love the product. And they liked my coverage of it before, because they had only ever worked with streamers. And I will say, if you go after a company that works with streamers are not product reviewers. They will have not the greatest quality, not the greatest lighting. They'll be, just on their stream setup, just unboxing and talking about it. There's no scientific thought into why like how that video is going to do well. They just treat it like their stream and they post that. And for some of them, it does well if they're a big streamer. For me, I'm not a streamer. So what else do I bring to the table? And this is what I bring to the table. I bring studio quality, commercial grade, like B-roll of your product that's going to be seen in a way that no other creator you've ever had has ever done that. And so I will research the competition, not that I'm competing with these creators, but I want to see, what is their standard? What are they willing to put on their website, on their socials, and their YouTube channel? What do they like to see? And like in this particular instance, I knew, I could beat the crap out of that. Like, I have enough skill right now that, like, doing this for free would be highway robbery and I'd be wasting my time. And so that's how I have that conversation, is like, if you get to the point where they're considering hiring you, and you need to be aware of how other people have showcased their product. So you can say, hey, I can do this, or I can do better than this, or you haven't had the reach with these creators. I know that I have that reach because I have these abilities to do this. And I think that kind of answers your question, Christopher, in kind of a roundabout way. Like, how do I have those conversations? I mean, the research never ends. It just never ends.
You brought up a really great point there when you said working with smaller companies that may be entering the market or don't have massive budgets, right? And it's something I've heard before, and it's price the brand, right? So if I do work with a large company, I can't be like, hey, large company, give me $1,000 for this, because they're going to be like, bro, you're one in a million people I can reach out to. Relax. But if you say this company is 5 years old and they don't have a big, large presence, and I'm going to do UGC for you, I'm going to do reels for you, I'm going to do, videos that's going to be on my channel that you can keep on your channel, etc. That's completely different than if I were to work with Samsung. With Samsung, like, just send me something, bro. Let's work. Let's get it together. Let's get it.
Right.
But if this company has a very small presence, and to your point, I can come in there and give them high-end cinema grade videography that they can use on their socials and on their channels, you can charge for that, because they can't afford to go other places to get all of that at one particular time, like we said earlier. And so that's the value that you created for them. So I'm going to create 2 videos for you. One is a tutorial, one is a reel, right? And then one is a TikTok. And then also, by the way, I'm going to do a review on my channel as well. So I just gave you 4 pieces of content. And it's going to be a little bit higher than what you expected to pay, but look at everything you just got from me, right? That you couldn't really go out and hire a team to do this right now. You don't have the budget for that, but you can squeeze this $2,000, this $3,000, right? This $4,000 out for these, and you own this stuff going forward. So even if you want to run this through the end of the year and run it next year in your ads, you can do that because you now own this content, and that's value that you've given them. That the average person just give me the product, I'll shoot the video, but you can't use it and stuff like that. That's a value that you gave to them. All right, so not to cut you guys off, but so far in this video, we've chatted through kind of our origin stories. We've talked about kind of how we got started and where we are today as far as brands, what we think about brands, and if we charge or don't charge brands, and kind of those things. And so I think we're coming up on an hour at this point. And so let's wrap it up here for this, and we'll call this episode 1. And let's each of us go through real quick and just give our kind of like summary of today's conversation and what our thoughts are. And I'll go first because I butted in on what you were saying, Corey. So, so I would say where I am in my channel, I'm at 3 years in my channel. I am at the point where I've had some success and I feel like I'm consistent. I get out at least 2 to 3 videos a week. And I've charged some brands, and some brands that I really want to work with, I don't charge. My overall thought process now on my channel is, the first thing that's important to me is honesty and transparency with my audience. And first and foremost, staying true to who I am as far as a tech geek, and the products that I bring on my channel are products that I want to share with them, and products that they're not always the best, but they're good for somebody. Because my overall motto is that there is no perfect product, but there's a perfect product for someone. And that's kind of like my product management background of this product may suck for Corey because he has big hands, but for me, I got small hands. So this gaming handheld is perfect. So Corey's going to touch it and he's like, man, that's trash. But for me, it's great because I got small hands. We're the exact opposite spectrum.
We've had that conversation.
So for Corey's audience, like, you don't want to listen to me when it comes to that. But for my audience, it is what it is. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, is that my first and foremost thing is honesty and transparency to my audience. And then when I work with the brand, I want to be valued and I want to have an equitable partnership. And there's going to be some brands where I really want to work with them because I followed them for years, and I may do that for free. But there's also other brands where I'm just cannon fodder, and you have to pay me for my time just to even see your product and test your product before I share it with my audience. And from that point, what you're paying for is not what I say, it is paying for my work. Like, because it is a business for them, and so I have to treat it for a business for me. And so I think that's kind of where I am in my channel today. And as I continue to grow, going forward into 2024, I first and foremost just stay true to number one, and then from there, focus on the quality of my content. And I think the business aspect will just continue to kind of it'll go up and down through different periods, and that's kind of where we'll be at for that.
Yeah, for me, I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about, we all talked about the same thing. You talked about our channels and how we're dealing with companies and all that kind of stuff. The one thing that I'm trying to make sure that I absolutely focus on is just being genuine.
Yeah.
There's so many videos out there that I see where it just feels like they're just very, very stiff, very robotic, very, and it's hard for a new creator to understand how to be genuine. And what I want to give as advice is just think to yourself, do you have friends that you hang out with? What do they like about you? And it's easy to say because you being you is what they like, right? So you being you on a YouTube video is going to get people to like you. Well, some people won't like you. On the next episode, I definitely want to talk about comments and how we deal with comments. But, we can talk about that next time. Absolutely. But, just be yourself. If someone doesn't like you, there's a hide this user from my channel button. I do it all the time because you know what? I can't suffer fools. I cannot deal with people who all they want to do is bring me down because I don't want to be brought down.
Agreed.
Agreed. So as far as the goals for my channel, I'm just going to keep trucking. I learned so much from this video from you guys. I envy both of you guys because I think your videos are awesome. I think my videos are crap, but I think that's the problem is when you look at your own stuff, you're like, that's no good, man. Those guys are so awesome. But think about this. You do have value and your stuff is good. Or I don't know, maybe your stuff is bad, but either way, I think in most cases, your stuff is good. Every time you record a video, think of one thing to do to make it a little bit better.
Yep.
Maybe I'll put a light in the background. Maybe I'll upgrade my camera. Maybe I'll upgrade my microphone. Just think, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be pro day one. Just take that time and evolve. And as you evolve, people will start to see that and they'll start to enjoy your content. But other than that, like I said, you guys are awesome. I can't wait till next time.
Yeah. And you kind of said one thing that I was going to touch on as well, Carl, that every video I've ever done, when I started YouTube almost 4 years ago, was make each video 1% better than the last one. And I think like people try to grow too fast. They try to add too much too quickly and they get gear hungry. I reviewed products for, on my Tall channel. I bought a gimbal for that. I'm like, when am I ever going to use a gimbal? I'm in the shots. Like
that was my first purchase, and I haven't used it to this day.
I sold it. I was like, what do I have this gimbal for? I have to be in the shot. So how can I use it and be in it? So it's like, I think a lot of people confuse products and gear with quality. And it's like, no, just focus on making your lighting a little better. Do a little bit of research, how to showcase your product better or you better, or make your audio better. How do you look at this through the eyes of the audience, not you, and make it a more pleasurable experience? I want my audience to enjoy watching my content, and I want to make it just a little bit better every single video. And it's not, some videos are going to be leaps and bounds better than the one before it. Some are going to be incremental, adjustments. But when you look back over the course of a year or two, like we were talking about earlier, some of my first videos, I almost want to show it on our next episode. Like, look how bad this is and where I've come, because it's night and day. It is like, those videos are gross. They make me cringe, but I think they're necessary because you don't want to forget history, because they'll show you how far you've come.
Yep.
Because whenever, like right now, I feel like I'm a tiny YouTuber. There's all these giant tech YouTubers. I'm like, man, just one day, like, am I ever going to be to that point? But then I look backwards and I'm like, wow, look how far that I've come. Yeah. And I think a lot of people forget about that, because when your nose is down and you're grinding and you're in the heat of business battles and trying to be creative and trying to do all these other things, you forget about how good you are as a creator. Yep. And this is not a hype up video, but like the reason I'm saying is not to hype people up, but it's to say, hey, you need to be realistic with yourself, that if you're trying to improve yourself, you will improve yourself, right? It's effort that matters across the board, and there's no right way to do it. Imagine if all three of our channels completely mirrored each other and we had the same audience. How boring would that be, right? Like this podcast is going to go across 3 different channels that all have very different expectations, and we may have some bleed over of some of our subscribers who like some of the other creators, and we share that subscriber. But for the most part, we all have our own audiences that come to us for different reasons, that have subscribed to us, because of who we are and because of how we showcase products. So that's kind of my own 2 cents on it. But I would encourage just viewers to, if you're watching this and you've made it this far into it over an hour later, I would encourage you to drop a comment down below and just let us know what you would like us to talk about, about what aspects of content creation of the YouTuber lifestyle, because none of us do this full time, but we would like to. I think all of us would like to get to that point. But if you have questions about what this lifestyle is like, or the things that we've grown through, if you're just starting in the beginning of your YouTube career, like we were there and it wasn't that long ago, let us help you. Let us know down below what you would like to see on this conversation.
Yep.
So also, and check out the links in the description to see everyone's channel names, see the channel links, so we can all check each other out. This is going to be kind of a community-based thing, and I'm excited to continue this conversation with you fellas.
Absolutely. I'm not going to link you guys. I'm going to leave you guys out. Just take all the credit.
So this is the last episode of this podcast.
First and last.
Yeah, and remember, like and subscribe. Let's see if we can do the thumbs up thing for Zoom.
They didn't do it. They did it earlier.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
It was Corey's big
Anyway, you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, y'all are too, man. All right.
All right. Stay
Sounds
close.
good.
See y'all later.
All right, bye.